on Lagos television, and on this side we are discussing role of media in electioneering process. Now, as Nigeria gradually approaches another election cycle, the role of the media in shaping public perception, informing citizens, and strengthening democratic participation has come under renewed focus. And joining us on the conversation to look at issues surrounding this topic, we are joined by social affairs analyst Taiwo Olapade.
Thank you so much for having me, Olapade.
Ola, I don't know why I keep calling you Olapade. I don't know why. Apologies, Taiwo Olapade. He is a journalist and a social affairs analyst. I see you. I was rehearsing it in my head. All right. Topic before us is the role of the media in electioneering processes. Now, the media is often referred to as the fourth estate of the realm in democracy. And of course, I'd like us to look at how significant the role of the media is, especially when it has to do with election processes.
Well, thank you very much. The regular cliche, the fourth estate of the realm, is not just something that was just formulated. It is explicitly stated in our constitution, and that is section 22 of the 1999 constitution as amended, that the role of the media is the watchdog of the society. And in brackets, if you check that constitution, you see clearly stated as the fourth estate of the realm. And what that's supposed to mean is the fact that we know we have three arms of government, the executive, the legislature, or the legislative, and the judiciary. And it is also expected that each arm of government must also be independent. And whether we like it or not, the media, which is the fourth estate of the realm, as we are called, supposed to also be to also monitor. Is like somebody must monitor somebody that's also monitoring somebody. And that's exactly the role the media has to play in this regard. And the constitution that we are still using at the moment, though it has gone through several reviews, several amendments, and that's why we refer it to as a 1999 constitution as amended. So it is explicitly stated categorically what roles of the media should be under democracy. And section 39 of this same constitution also to allow the media to play their role effectively, particularly giving people the voice to also speak to government issues, policies, and the likes. That section 39 also now give the citizen the freedom of expression to express their mind, to speak on government policies, to also sometimes also when they are also aggrieved. It is also the media that also gives them the comfort to speak against government policy, to say it the way it is. And that is, the media has a very major role to play. And that's why no government can undermine the significance and the importance of the media in any democracy, particularly the one we are also practicing. So some people do say it's a nascent democracy. We know how long we have started. But coming back to your question, the media plays a very vital role, particularly when they also come to electioneering. Very soon, electioneering will also start, particularly ahead of 2027 general elections. Just yesterday, we saw the incumbent governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, also flagging off his own campaign. Of course, it was the media. I saw it live on some TV stations. So that shows the power of the media. And sincerely, I do not expect that we will also not play that role. But we must be careful, and we must also play that role by the ethics of the profession.
Yeah, speaking about playing roles, especially when it has to do with elections now, because our roles are wide. Yeah. But we are narrowing it down now to elections, and so there is a before the election, there is a during the election, and there is an after the election. So let's look at the roles of the media categorically, looking at the different stages.
Well, when it comes to electioneering, I think by record, the first election held in the country when in the build-up to gaining independence in 1960 and then becoming a republic in 1963 was done in 1959, 12th of and I can't forget that day. That happened to be my birthday, the 12th of December 1959. And it was a parliamentary election, which was won largely by a Northern People's Congress. And ever since, let's jump the aborted First Republic, aborted Second Republic, Third Republic. Now we are in the Fourth Republic. And since our return to democratic rule in Fourth Republic, which began in 1999, we have done 7 major general elections. In 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, and 2023. That is 7 major general elections. And whether you like it or not, the media must have played a very prominent role in ensuring that we still have a stable country, we have a stable Nigeria, and then now we are looking ahead of 2027 general election. And if you permit me, reason why the media must also play the role by the ethics. The ethics taught us for us to be objective, transparent, there must be fairness, there must be equity, there must be balancing across board. Whether we like it or not, we are human. And sometimes the sentiment or the bias can also want to come in. And but nonetheless, being the fact as a journalist or as a media house, you must be open to all. You must be fair to all. It may be difficult to do, sincerely. Don't let us deceive ourselves. But you must be seen to have done it beyond every other doubt, to be open to all political parties. And that's one of the major roles that we have to play. We cannot undermine the ethics of fairness, the ethics of also ensuring that the right of reply. And in this election now, you will see the trend. Particularly in our country, most times when election is nearing or is forthcoming like this, you will see majorly opposition political parties will come on here, and that sometimes is the making of the media. We give more exposure to opposition political parties because they are like also serving as also watching the government in power, for them to also perform and ensure that they keep to their promises, and the dividend of democracy also cut across board. But we must also not forget that the government in power also have the right of reply. So we must ensure that balancing in that regard, so that at least they won't say that we are biased. But bearing in mind, just like I said, we are human. And whether we like it or not, the sentiment of bias, sometimes we also want to come in.
Yeah, you reeled out, I've forgotten what we call it in school, but objective, being
fairness,
not biased, and all that.
Not being biased. That's the ethics of the profession. It's also stated categorically in this, that's section 22 of the Constitution, that the media must ensure freedom of expression, and the media must also ensure that we safeguard our society. And that also brings me to the fact that that's what we call developmental journalism. That shows that the media must ensure, even sometimes when you see the truth, but in saying that truth, when you know the consequence of saying it, that it could also lead to breakdown of law and order, then the national security must also come in. Then the civil society must also come in. You must also think, we must also have at the back of our mind, despite the fact that we are also rushing to meet the deadline, we want to break the news. It is better you don't break the news than also breaking yourself, or also breaking the society, or even breaking the media. It is when there is peace and tranquility in the society that you can also, be at rest to say you want to do your work. What is the benefit of breaking the news that eventually the society, there is a breakdown of law and order? You cannot even guarantee the safety of your own life or even your establishment that you work. So we must also practice what we call developmental journalism. Even when sometimes we see the whole truth, that we know we also supposed to also disseminate to the members, to the society. But the consequence of also saying it sometimes must also, you put it on the table and you weigh the options. That if you come out with this story the way it is, what can be the consequence?
But before we continue with the election, rules of media and election, I just want us to do a general overview or an appraisal of the Nigerian media. Do you think that the Nigerian media has really been, working with the ethics of the profession?
Well,
or we are putting the business part first?
Of course, whether you like it or not, we must also survive, particularly for maybe sometimes we say for government establishment, maybe through subventions, they can maybe regular subvention from government, they can sustain the logistics, the salary, the welfare of staff. But what do you say of privately owned media houses, be it multimedia, radio, TV, online, newspapers, and the likes? They must survive, and the only way they can survive is also by by adverts, by people also subscribing to their platform. However, in ensuring our survival, because it has also become the survival of the fittest, as they used to say. In Lagos alone now, I've lost count of number of radio stations. Sometimes before I can say this radio station, they died, the location. But now we are counting about 80 radio stations, 80 in Lagos metropolis. And you cannot say why do we have up to that? Because the population is there and because the market is there. And Lagos, for what it is the hub of media houses in the country. It's like the headquarters of the media. You know how many radio stations we have, just like I just said. You know how many TV stations we have in Lagos. You know how many newspapers that we have that are domiciled, their headquarters, and even even in the corporate world, most of the headquarters of big multinationals are in Lagos. So, and even by population that is growing well over, some people say 22 million, some say 25 million, but we know is a growing population geometrically. So definitely the media has a critical role to play, particularly in socio-economic development.
But do you think the media has been doing well when you look at the ethics of the profession?
To a large extent, the conventional and the traditional media. When we say conventional, radio like LTV, of course, within these premises, we have LTV, we have traffic radio, we have Echo FM, we also have Radio Lagos, Tiwantiwa. This is like a media empire, whether you like it or not. So what I'm saying, state-owned, fine. What I'm saying is the fact that for conventional media, they have done quite well in that regard. And that is also largely because we have regulatory bodies that are also guiding, are also monitoring our conduct. The NBC is there, that's the National Broadcasting Commission. We have the Nigerian Press Council, we have the Advertising Council of Nigeria, and we also have the BON, that's the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. These are four major regulatory bodies that, whether you like it or not, if you run away from this, of course, the long arm of this will also caught up with you. So we are guided by the ethics of the profession, just like I've also reiterated earlier. But my major fear is the social media space, which is unregulated, which is unguided.
So since you have launched it, now let's talk about the social media. We'll also talk about fake news, especially now that elections are near. You see a lot of things online, a lot of content that people are dishing out. And so again, what is the role of the media in ensuring that, I'm linking it now to fake news. What is the role of the media in ensuring that before news are disseminated, you must confirm first?
And that's why we have the editorial lines, from the correspondents who have gone out to cover an event. You come back to your station, whichever media, print or electronic, you submit your story to a deputy or online editor. From there, it also moved down to editor. From editor, there are lines of checking in ensuring that you don't come up with a story that could lead to your station or your media house being subjected to defamation of character or content of court, because even the freedom that we have spoken about earlier is not absolutely free. You can't say because the Constitution guarantees, 2020, the Section 22 as amended, guarantee the freedom of expression. You can't just broadcast information that could also be at disrepute, or that can also damage somebody's reputation or somebody's company. Definitely, you will have your day in court. And that's why sometimes you see some media houses, they put a caveat that all this information dished out by, by our guests are not, we are not liable. And, it's just like a caveat, which is also normal, because that also shows largely that that freedom that they have to broadcast is not also absolutely free. Unfortunately, during the time of former Minister of Information, if you permit me to just quickly say this, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, he made a very innocent and good move then to also say this social media space, we have to regulate it. But sadly, maybe the intention or maybe the way he tried then to ensure this regulation was not, there was not much buying then from the media. It was also from the media and even the society that came up with the argument that no, you are doing something to gag the media. You don't want us to have the freedom to express ourselves, whereas we also know that we have the FIUB, that's the Freedom of Information Act, that is also giving us the backing to call government to account, to ask government to also give report to the society. But today, whether we like it or not, it is a major challenge. Unfortunately, the advent of artificial intelligence has even made it worse. You see some videos that sometimes you even argue with your colleague that this is genuine, this is real, whereas it was concocted by artificial intelligence and AI. And that has done a lot of damage to some people's reputation, to some people's businesses. I know how many people are in court at the moment because of all this. And unfortunately, again, Nigerians will just sit back at the comfort of their homes, and everybody has become a content creator, or what do they call, creating unnecessary content. And they are also doing that to also ensure they gain traffic to their own platform that is also not registered and it's also not regulated.
With this last point that you have raised, now let's now talk about the role of citizens, especially in combating misinformation, especially now that the elections are near.
Well, we also have civic responsibility. The same way that we say that the media must hold government to account. We as citizens of the country, we also have responsibility to government and also largely to the society where we belong. And one of such responsibility, particularly for those of us who also belongs to different platforms, WhatsApp platform, quite unfortunate that sometimes somebody just drop a message without verifying, without checking, immediately you broadcast. And that's how it goes viral. You do not even check the content. Immediately that's, I've called my colleagues sometimes, or even my family members sometimes to say, this message that you just forwarded, did you bother to check whether this message can cause breakdown of law and order, or whether this message can also lead you to be in court for defamation of character or even for contempt of court? You say, they now eventually now do a check on what the message or the video is all about. So we also hold it responsible. You remember what happened in 1994 genocide in Rwanda? It was a mere broadcast message that the Hutus and the Tutsis, they took up arms. These are just like if you're Modakeke. One used to have that crisis then, these are brothers and sisters. But because of a message that was not edited, that was not verified, a mere broadcast message that the people are referred to as cockroaches and as lizard being and the like. And then for almost a month, people of the same breed, the same, dynasty, they took up arms and they killed up to about 1 million of them until international bodies now came to their rescue, and we can never forget that 1994 genocide. And I don't think up to this moment that the country has recovered from the loss of lives and property, that mere radio, it was a radio broadcast then in Rwanda. So we must be very careful as citizens of the country, particularly in this electionary period, to ensure that we also do a check. You also do a fact check, and it's so convenient now. If somebody send a message to you, thank God for Google. You can quickly do a check on your own before now. And again, because just like I said, artificial intelligence. Sometimes you also sit back and, this is picture of this. I don't want to mention anybody's name. We have seen a couple of pictures. We have seen a couple of videos made against to tarnish, particularly those in government, particularly the political elites. All sort of videos, and you'll be wondering, this video, now, whereas it was concocted, it was made through the artificial intelligence. So we must be very, very careful.
All right, voter education is another important aspect, especially when the elections are around the corner. And so again, how effective has the Nigerian media been in ensuring that voter education is on the front burner?
This is a very, very, very good area, and I hope the management of your platform as well will also do something in terms of corporate social responsibility, CSR, to campaign vigorously on the need for we as Nigerians to also exercise our franchise. And it is very easy for people to sit back and be questioning or be condemning those in government, whereas our whole right as citizens of the country, we didn't perform that right when it beckons on us to perform that right. And that's why sometimes we will say our vote doesn't count. Who told you that if your vote doesn't count, politicians will not come to you to say, bring your voter's card for 20,000 naira, or say, take 5,000 naira, or some rice on the line, some foodstuffs to go and vote for party A or candidate B. That shows that our vote counts. But unfortunately, what we saw in 2023 election, I've done a couple of articles in that regard. From INEC statistics, 87.2 million Nigerians were registered to vote we can do a fact check in 2023 elections. No. 93.5 million Nigerians were registered to vote. 87.2 million Nigerians collected their permit. According to INEC now, collected their PVCs. That means we have 87.2 million Nigerians that are eligible to vote for Party A, Party B, Party C, or Candidate A as they feel. Unfortunately, what did we get from that elections, which the current president was declared as the winner? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu got 8.7 million votes. Atiku Abubakar, that came second, the Waziri of Adamawa, got 6.7 million votes. Mr. Peter Obi, of the Labour Party, got 6.1 million votes. I'm sure we can be doing the arithmetics. Senator Rabi Kwankwanzo, then of the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, got 1.4 million votes. The void votes from that election was around about 900,000. Let's just give it 1 million. Let's 1 million. 900,000 plus. Let's just say 1 million. And the rest, we had about 16 or 18. We had about 16 presidential candidates in that election. So the others, I've mentioned 4 leading candidates: President Bola Tinubu, Vice President then Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Peter Obi, and Senator Rabi Kwankwanso. All of them put together. Then the other candidate, prayer candidate of other various political parties, got about, I think it ran about 3 million put together. That's the remaining about 12 other presidential candidates. What I'm just saying in the effect is the fact that we didn't get, plus the valid vote. The valid vote was around about 26 million thereabouts. The void votes, maybe around 1 million. Altogether, we did not even cross the threshold of about 30 million votes out of 87.2 million votes. We were asking the question, where were the remaining 59 Nigerians who were eligible voters, who had their PVC according to INEC? Some people have also questioned that INEC register as regard that, are we up to this? Are we indeed up to this number of Nigerians who were eligible, and they are still battling with that record of that 2023. So the responsibility of the media in the build up to 2027 is to ensure that we need to let people know, whether we like it or not, your vote count. It is when you fail to also exercise that franchise that politicians will capitalize on that, and also the way they know how to manipulate the system. Unfortunately, on that same election day, you will see our young men, they will convert the roads, because the roads will be free on that. They convert the road to playing football. You know, and you also see some people sit back in the comfort of their home. They'll be on social media, you know, instead of them to come out and, exercise their franchise. And I know it will be difficult for any politician to want to rig, particularly when you see the crowd, when you see the mammoth crowd, the massive crowd of people that you are also knew that are not voting for your party or are not voting for you. But because of this nonchalant attitude of we Nigerians sometimes that our vote doesn't count, I totally disagree. Though the voting process, some people may feel like they don't want to have to participate, or the politicians know the way they ensure that they deny some people the right to vote. But nonetheless, make every effort. By the time they see you come out, definitely they may also have to think twice that our people Yoruba this time around, they'll see the mammoth chorus, and they knew where those people are going to are going to register their vote. So in that case, they may also want to think twice and say, it be like say this our local government or my polling unit, these people want that return you. So there's nothing they can do. Okay. But when you sit back home, it will be easy for them, and they know let's say for instance in Ward A, the total number of registered voters is about 12,000, and eventually those who came out on that day were just about 3,000. So do you think the rest, they will leave it? They won't leave it. So definitely they will know how to manipulate the figures to ensure that they get close to about 11,000 votes.
You've spoken largely because voter apathy is a really big issue, especially for us here in Nigeria. But you have talked about what the media can do. Yes. But I'd also like us to look at the role of the National Orientation Agency, because again, it is what you said is true. A lot of people believe that their votes don't count, and so there is a need for a reorientation. And so, yes, you have talked about what the media can do. What is the role of the National Orientation Agency at this moment?
The same way the National Orientation Agency has a role to play, it's also the same way the civil society group. Of course, sometimes when we say the media, we also say the civil society group. And sincerely, I want to give it to the National Orientation Agency, particularly under the current Director General. I heard about the fact that he also tried to also contest for, was it governorship or senatorial? Larry Onilu, of course, he's a very popular man. He has changed the ideology, the mentality of the National Orientation Agency. But the same way some people are, are adamant on the need that we must change our constitution. If we don't change our mindset, change our constitution 10 times, 100 times, if our mindset remain the same against our society or against our nation, definitely we will still be where we are. So I know the National, just like I said, from under Mr. Larry Onilu, he has done a marvelous job. I know how many jingles on radio, on TV, as regards societal hills that the man has tried. There is this popular one when anytime there is what do they call it? All these articulated, all these these vehicles that carries fuel. Anytime there's accident, you see people going to school. I know how many TV stations, radio stations that I heard or that I saw these, jingles, these from the national, telling us that the danger inherent in trying to scoop fuel from a falling tanker is much more, the consequence is much more than what you tend to gain if there is any fire outbreak. And we have seen it a couple of times when there is a fire outburst coming from a falling tanker in which Nigerians, I don't want to say innocently, had gone there to want to scoop fuel. It's like you want to commit suicide. So I've seen so much of campaign advocacy from the National Orientation Agency, but then they can still do more, particularly as we look ahead of 2027 general elections.
Absolutely, they can still do more, and even the media too
Of course,
can do
it's our
more.
responsibility.
It is our responsibility.
Yes.
We must leave this conversation here. Thank you so much, Taiwo Olapade, for sharing insight on this topic, role of media in electioneering processes. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
The conversation continues. Stay with us.